Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of What Now? We are still in a pandemic and we still have inspiring guests that will help us through this stuff over here because we are still in a lockdown and we are still kind of locked up. We can't really do anything. Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hey, Bimmy, what's up? I sent you an email. I really want you to be on here as well to inspire people, motivate people. So I'm sure you have other things to do than to stick around for a whole hour, but I will really appreciate you. Send you an email, check it out, or maybe I'll send you a DM. That might be faster. Glenn, thank you for tuning in. James, what's up? Yeah, we're going to do another inspiring conversation. This time it's not a musician. It is a creative person. It's actually an author, best-selling author named Avery Washington. And yeah, I'm excited to talk to him. He is in Texas, so it'll be 2 o'clock for him. What's up, King? What's up, Octavia? I see you. LJ, what's up? There goes Avery. So for those who are tuned in, this series was created a year ago during at the start of the pandemic to inspire and motivate people while the creative industry shut down. I expanded to a lot of people, not just musicians, not just producers, DJs, but also filmmakers, actors, visual artists. I've pretty much had everybody across the board, anybody with an inspiring story. So today I have a best-selling author, Mr. Avery Washington. He's already in here, so let me just get started and get him in here. Let's see where he is. There we go. Oh, Avery, it says you must upgrade your app in order to join. This man was completely prepared, got his setup and everything. Oh, Glenn, definitely a book. He sent me a couple and I can give away a few. So I will definitely send you one of the books. I'll give you one of the books. Yeah, Avery. So sometimes this happens. You know, the guest doesn't have the right device or didn't have their Instagram updated and I can't get them in here. So Avery, if you have the chance to update your Instagram real quick, then we can get started. Octavia, I'm sure you will be super inspiring too with your story. So I need to hit you up. You need to be a guest because I'm lacking women too. I don't know what's up with women. Women never reply to me. I have a few coming up, but they never hit me back when I asked them to be my guests. But it would be nice to have a little bit more diversity when it comes to men and women. Book, please. Well, we'll promote the books in a minute before I can actually show you a couple. So, well, he can. I really wanted to wait for him. So let's just wait for him until he's in here. There he goes. Updated and all. Pay after dark. Ah, come on, Octavia. You have a great career behind you. So, yeah. Let's see what's up. There we go.
What's happening, Pay? How you doing?
What's up? You upgraded your app for me.
Yeah, I had to upgrade it. What's
Well, I'm
going
happy
on?
that it worked. I'm happy that it worked. Thank you for being my guest. I appreciate you. Clubhouse is a great resource to get inspiring people and their stories into my lives. So thank you for wanting to be a guest.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Where are you outside?
Yes, ma'am. I'm outside. You know, I'm in Houston, Texas. We had a freeze, and my house got some damage done to it. So I got the contractors in there.
Oh.
So I didn't want you to be hearing all of that banging. So I said, let me come in the
Oh.
backyard.
But at least it's warm over there because we had snow again today. I don't know where the summer is, but it ain't here. It's not on its way here. So I'm still with sweaters and everything, but I should be fine. I still have my same backdrop. I won't be outside anytime soon. Avery, a couple of people were asking about your books. So just for the people that are tuned in, we're going to show these books a few times because people are wanting the book. So I already have one person who's over here, Glenn, who I'm going to give one of the books to because you were so great to send me a couple to give away. So this is one of the books.
Yes.
A love letter. Yes. So honestly, I don't want to jump the gun, so I'm just going to quickly show these people. Go to Avery's Instagram, click on his links. Here's one for his daughters, and then here's the breakthrough book. But we'll get into that a little bit later down the line. Yes, we're so people really know you wrote books.
Right.
Okay, so I want to start off with the fact that I started this when the pandemic started. As you know, I talk to a lot of musicians. They can't tour. They can't go into studios to record. For you, as a writer, obviously you can write anywhere, but you're also a motivational speaker. You know, you talk at a lot of conferences and all that stuff. So how has the effect of the pandemic been for you professionally and personally? What has been the biggest impact?
Well, professionally, I like to have a connection with my audience and a connection with people. So I like to physically go out and meet people, because when you're a writer and they read your work, they feel like they're connected with you. So people usually share their stories with me when I meet them in person. And I learn a lot from listening to people and listening to their stories. So that's what I miss. And the pandemic has stopped that. But as a writer, you know, I can continue to write, but also I have to be in the right frame of mind, because at one point during the pandemic, you know, my mind wasn't right, you know, and I only write about things that I experience or things that I know. As a poet, you know, we only write about what we experience or what we know. So I have to be in that good space.
Yeah. So just to talk a little bit more about your background, you write about family in particular, relationships with, well, in this case, your wife and your daughters, and you're a family advocate. So you help people pretty much navigate to the best relationships with their family within their, you know, tight family with kids and partners. Am I saying that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are.
Okay. So as far as, you know, the pandemic, you not being in a good space, can you tell us a little bit about what you were going through personally? What was the effect that you felt like you were not in such a good space?
Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, I went through a little paranoia stage where I was afraid to have my kids go out, you know, and I didn't want anything to happen. I'm very protective, and you probably could tell from my books. And I just didn't want anything to happen to them. Plus, my mother moved from New Orleans, and she lives a couple exits down the street from me. So, you know, I kind of didn't want her to get involved in anything anyway either, because I'm like the protector. I wasn't worrying about me, because I know I'm going to protect myself to protect them, but I just wanted to make sure that they were all right. But now, you know, things are getting a little better, so I'm in a better space now. So I'm back writing again.
And for you being in Texas, I mean, comparing it to where I live, we're still locked down. You know, I mean, stores are sort of open, but you can only go there when you make an appointment. I mean, I had to go and get wrapping paper for a present the other day. I was like, well, I'm just not going to wrap it. I'm not going to make an appointment with a store to go get wrapping paper, you know? So it's just crazy. So, you know, it's a lot different. My sister lives in Texas. She's in Houston. So I used to go there every year. It would have been great to, you know, have met you in person.
Yeah, we got family out here, I see.
Right. So I mean, that'll happen at some point. But she's been keeping me updated on how the situation is over there, and it's pretty much all open. So I can also understand the concern that you have, you know, with the world not around you, not taking it serious.
Yeah, it's open, but I'm out here. I'm maxed up wherever I go. You know, my kids are, my mother is. So, you know, we still being careful.
What part of Houston are you in?
I'm in Katy, Texas. You familiar with Katy, Texas?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I'm right down the street from Katy Mills Mall, matter of fact.
Okay, cool. Well, my sister lives in Third Ward, so
that's
I'm
straight up Third Ward. You know, I went to Texas Southern, so yeah, I'm familiar.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That cuts right through her street. So
yes, ma'am.
But yeah, no, definitely. I'll be back in Houston. I'm always there every year, and it's just the first time that I haven't been able to see my people out there. So I'll be back. But so aside from you personally feeling concerned about your family, have there been other effects that you've been experiencing personally?
No, that's about it. I've been blessed to not be hurt financially by it. So it's been a blessing. I can really say we've been blessed.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. And so, as I was saying before, professionally, you can now write again because you're in a better space. But
Yes.
how about all the gigs that you had, the speaking gigs and all the conferences and the things that you were a part of?
Yeah, the things I've been doing is having interviews like this, doing everything from the computer.
Yeah.
Any events that I usually do, we usually get on the computer and do them that way, until it gets safer out there.
And doing a lot of Zoom meetings or
yeah, a lot of Zoom meetings. I did a Zoom meeting a couple months ago with the Deltas, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in Houston, Texas, the suburban Houston alumni chapter.
Oh, wow.
They have supported me for the past 10 years, and I always do events, for the community with them. So,
That's great. I wonder if I've seen you around.
You may have. I hate that I miss physically being there, because the events that the women give are so great and awesome, because we usually have a lot of kids there, a lot of youth. But this time we just had to do a Zoom call and do it that way.
We all have to resort to Zoom and all kinds of digital situations, but I'm happy that that's an option, especially if your work depends on it somewhat. But I understand for you, it's better to interact with people. Plus, you want to sign your books and give them out to people,
because you can feel the spirit, you can feel the energy of people.
Yeah. Oh, Octavia's asking which is the most recent book. I want to say that's Breakthrough, right?
Yes, Breakthrough and A Love Letter to Our Beautiful Black Women. Both of those were my most recent books.
Okay, so I have 3 books here, Octavia. What website can they go to, Avery?
They can go to averywashington.com, and if they purchase from averywashington.com, I will personally autograph and ship the books to them. But if they decide to go to Amazon, you're going to get your books directly from Amazon. So if you want it autographed, go to averywashington.com.
I got mine autographed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your career, because I know you didn't wake up one day thinking, I'm going to write poetry and write books. When was for you, I'm sure it started at a young age, maybe not. What happened? What was the time where you were like, I'm writing? Because I wrote when I was a kid, so I've been writing. And so I know that was always something that was in me. Was that the same for you?
I didn't know it. I had a wake-up call. I had a breakthrough. And I wrote about it in that book with Les Brown.
I haven't had time. They just arrived. I didn't have time to write.
Nah, I know. But honestly, I had a breakthrough. My mother always had poetry books laying around the house when I was a kid. So I always read poetry, and I always wrote poetry. But when I was in Houston, Texas, I moved to Houston, Texas, to go to Texas Southern for administration of justice. I was planning on becoming a lawyer. You know how we kids do. We try to do what we think our parents want us to do to try to make them proud or whatever. So I was doing that. But I went to church one day, and the preacher was talking about gifts that we have that we're not sharing with others as blessings.
Yes.
And he equated it to student loans. He said, when you get student loans from the government, if you don't pay it back, the government takes it back. He said, maybe God needs to start taking back these gifts that we're not using as blessings. Now, I'm an only child, so I was an introvert. I'm used to being alone. I had never done public speaking before. But that same Sunday, a voice in church was telling me, Avery, you need to go speak about family advocacy at this poetry lounge. And then this other voice was saying, Avery, you need to go home and relax and watch football. The playoffs are on or whatever. Go home and watch football. But I went ahead and listened to that first voice that told me to go, recite my poetry, And when I did that, the day I did that, I started meeting people to where God put people in my path to where I started my own publishing company.
Wow.
And I started releasing my books. And I did it was a lot of research in between that. But what I'm saying is, if I wouldn't have acted at that moment, I probably
Right.
wouldn't be here before you today.
So you really tapped into the voice inside you that
Mhm.
was telling you what your talent was, and you listened to it and you started using it. That is amazing. Well, how long ago was that?
Oh man, that was about 10 years ago, and I call it connecting with your soul. I think
Mhm.
at that moment I connected with my soul. And in Breakthrough, my chapter is speaking about connecting with your soul. And I think once we connect with our soul, we'll connect with our gift and our purpose in life.
Yes. And that word purpose is something that's been coming back this past year for me. Me and my friend Tendai from Zimbabwe, I did a talk with him as well. He's an actor and a rapper from Africa. And we always talk about purpose, and he has a lot of lives about purpose. And it's something that I really started thinking about more, because I know my purpose is helping others, serving others. My purpose is to serve others while I'm alive. And I truly believe God gave me that gift. Even in the pandemic, I woke up. No, I didn't wake up. I was at night. I was going to sleep and I was in my bed and I was like, I need to do something with, inspiring people and helping people during this time. And I started this live and it just grew out to live its own life at this point. And it's part of my purpose. So connecting with my soul, I think I guess I've done that before that when I found out what my purpose is.
Right.
But not everybody knows. So what would you advise people to do? I mean, we say we pray, but even for those who may not necessarily believe in God but are spiritual, how would you encourage them to connect with their soul?
I think a lot of people have ideas that come to them, but I think they don't have the confidence to put those ideas out in the world. And in my opinion, when I was pushed out in that world with my idea and with my gift of writing, by me acting on that and connecting with that, it really showed that that was my purpose, And I think if
Yeah.
people pay attention to themselves, a lot of people spend so much time trying to please other people. But if you go out and spend time with yourself, a lot of ideas will come to you. And I think that, if you put those ideas out there, you will realize that God already has an audience for those ideas. And in
Yes.
my situation, he already had an audience for the gift that he had given me. So my advice is to whatever ideas come into your head, put them out there. You never know who you're going to bless with your ideas.
Yes. Very true. And especially in a time like this, when we're in the house, when you think
Yeah.
about things, you're going to self-reflect. You're going to have to find ways to be resourceful in these times. And, I've had a problem thinking about others because I also have to be okay myself. And especially this
Right.
past week, I've been struggling with that. And even to the point where I didn't know if I had the energy to do this talk, but everybody knows that I don't cancel on talks. So unless I'm halfway dying of corona, I will be sitting here. I've done lives while I was sick and people would never know. And because I get inspiration out of my own conversations with people, this is why I do it too, not just for the people that are tuned in, but for myself. And so, yes, I've been struggling this week, but, we just got to keep going. And, God will always give me the strength. But we also have to make sure that we're okay. And self-reflecting in this time and tapping into your talent, into your gifts, and possibly going a whole other way than what you were doing before the pandemic is not a bad thing. Like, I'm doing a whole new thing with this TV and film that I didn't do before the pandemic, and I got these opportunities.
But
And I feel
you
great.
leaped out there. You took a jump. You took a leap.
Yes, I
And
do.
that's what we
So
have to do.
exactly. So when you connected with your soul, when you found your purpose, what were some of the biggest changes that you've noticed in your life? It could be personally, it could be in your circle, it could be with your family, or even career-wise. What are some of the biggest changes right after you followed your purpose?
One of the biggest changes is that I wrote a second book, which was Letters to My Daughters, Poetic Affirmations of Love from a Father. And when I wrote that book, I was writing from my heart. to my daughters because I wanted to teach my daughters to embrace the love of God and self so they wouldn't desperately seek love from man or anyone else.
Very
But
good.
I thought I was writing that just to my daughters. But as I did radio shows and I spoke to people, adult women would shed tears and they would tell me that this book reminded them of the relationship they had with their fathers.
Yes.
And then some women would express that they wish they had a man in their lives to tell them the things that I'm telling my daughters, so maybe they could have avoided a lot of heartache and pain. But then on the other hand, I had men that would tell me, hey, Avery, you know, my wife and I are using the book to help raise our daughter. Thank you. So I had no idea that what I was writing personally to my daughters, God had a bigger
so many
platform
people.
to touch other people. So that was like, really, that's the most joy that I've gotten from writing. Nothing else matters, money or anything like that. Just being able to use the gift that God gave me to bless others, that's a feeling that's indescribable.
So that obviously that was a big change for you. Do you feel like that also was the catalyst for keeping on that path? Like, you know, knowing that everything that you would write would, you know, spread into the world as, you know, an inspiration, as a motivation to people.
Yes, and it took some time because I had a lot of encouraging people around me. Sometimes we have a gift and we don't realize how powerful that gift is. Well, when people keep coming to you, telling you, Avery, you really touched me with that. You know, someone gets teary-eyed when you read some of your works, you know. So a lot of good people around me encouraged me. And like I said, when I saw the impact that my writings had on people, I realized that my purpose was bigger than just uplifting my daughters and women in general.
So one of the things that I find very great about, you know, the PDF you sent me, the EPK you sent me, it has your wife and your daughters speak on you. And when I heard them talk about you, it was such a beautiful thing. Like, I think it's great that you put them in there as, you know, a PR trailer or whatever for you, but it really speaks to your character, and to have such a good family, like a tight-knit family. And they were speaking about you, not necessarily as, you know, a husband or a father, but you as a person. And I thought that they did that so well, knowing that, you know, they're talking about somebody that's close to them, but they described how you are so perfectly and so lovingly that I was like, man, this person is absolutely fit to help and motivate others in their family lives. What are some of the biggest questions that people ask you when it comes to helping them navigate their own families?
One of the biggest questions they ask me is, like, my oldest daughter, she's not my biological, but she is my daughter. I never used the word step or anything like that. So I wrote this poem called Different Last Names. And I speak about her having a different last name from my other daughters within the marriage and how it impacted her. So when I recite that poem, you know, I have a lot of people reach out to me that have been through that same situation and would ask me, well, Avery, you know, how did you go about adopting her, and how did you go about changing her last name? Because honestly, that's something that a lot of us ignore when we do raise kids with different last names. A lot of times they feel different because that name is different. And then kids are cruel in schools. And they will make fun of other kids and say, well, why is your last name different? You know, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's amazing. Do you feel, because it's specifically, well, one of the books is specifically aimed at beautiful Black women. Do you feel like that is specific? Because I'm not Black, but I can resonate with this. So what was the purpose of addressing the beautiful Black women, other than knowing that they go through, you know, extra hardships compared to other women? But do you feel like this book is still applicable to everybody else?
Oh, yes, it's applicable to everyone. And I know you know a lot about our culture.
Yes.
And what happens is, you know, I was raised by a beautiful single mother, a beautiful Black woman, and I married a beautiful Black woman, and I'm raising 3 beautiful young girls. But as Black men and in our Black culture, we don't have hate in our hearts. We love everybody. But in the US, it's a lot of hate going on. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to write something to pay homage to the Black women who have raised me, like my mother, my great grandmother. And I also wanted to pay homage to my wife, who has been there with me for over 22 years of marriage, you know, and I just wanted to uplift Black women, to let them know that we do love them, we do desire them, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, they're wanted and desired and needed in our lives. So that was the purpose. I wanted to specifically target Black women, but the book is written for everyone.
For women, yeah, for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great book. I just wanted to point out that you are not legally married for 22 years.
I forgot. Look, I forgot we had a
Bahamas.
conversation, and you know that. That's a crazy story, huh?
Tell people the story, because I don't want this to stay inside joke, but it's a cute story.
It's an inside joke, but what happened, my wife and I, we did a destination wedding, and we got married in the Bahamas, you know, over 20 years ago. And when we got married in the Bahamas, we did the thing, you know, stayed in the Bahamas for 24, 48 hours and got a marriage license out there and got married. So we thinking this is all cool. But I went to put my wife on my insurance in the United States. And when I went to do that, they said, hey, we don't show any paperwork showing you were legally married. So we was like, wow. And my wife was like, you know what? We never signed papers in the States to prove that we're married. So we had to go to a justice of the peace and you know, get married right quick. So we only been legally married in the US for probably 2 years.
That's so funny. I think that's the cutest story, because in your mind you're like, oh, we got our anniversary coming up, and it's for the States legally it's only been 2 years. That's such a great story. I can't help but love that story, because it has nothing to do with being married or not. You know, a lot of people make a big deal out of, you know, getting the paper. I think obviously it's a commitment that you make towards each other, but other than that, your love should not change just because you signed a paper. And that, I mean, you two pretty much were the example of that, because it was like, oh, I guess we still got to sign this paper 20 years later.
Right.
So funny. What are some of the biggest hardships for you being a family advocate? I mean, nobody's perfect. You guys have your trials and tribulations. What are some of the difficulties that you faced, you know, knowing that you're some type of role model for the families in this world? What are some of the things that you were struggling with?
I guess we pour so much into other people. Sometimes it might be hard to find someone to pour into besides your wife, you know. So I guess you could say bonding with other men that are in similar, you know, marriages, you know, stuff like that, and have similar situations going on. That's probably the hardest part, because a lot of people, men, for some reason, we don't really talk to each other. We don't really open up to each other.
Not about your feelings.
Much.
Yeah,
not about our feelings. So, you know, I had a friend come over the other day, and we had a long talk, you know, about something personal, and it was a good thing to be there for him. But I wonder, when I do, or whenever I do have a situation that I need to talk about, will someone be there for me? So that's something that's in the back of my head sometimes, you know.
That's tough, because don't you think the same person that came to you, you can't go to that person?
Well, I probably can, but I don't know that yet, because it hasn't happened. But you just pray that someone will be there for you to listen.
Right. And you know, this is a career. This is not just a purpose, but this is also a career. This is you. This is what you do every day. You know, you inspire, you motivate, you write, you encourage. What are some of because this is a question I ask for people that are in the industry, but pretty much everybody with a career has made mistakes that turned out to be their big lessons that they learn, and they want to give out to others to prevent them from making the same mistakes. What are some of the mistakes in maybe publishing or writing or dealing with the industry as an author? What are some of those mistakes that you made that turned out to be lessons that you don't forget?
Well, when I first started, I was submitting my work to publishing companies at first as I was learning. And what I realized is that I don't want anybody to own the rights to my work. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that it didn't go through. I'm glad that I started my own publishing company.
Right.
And writing books, the publishing company is just like the music industry.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want anybody to own your masters either. You know, I don't want somebody making money off of my books, the work that I created, and then giving me some change for it.
Right.
So, you know, I recommend that anyone that is publishing books.
Self-published? Yeah.
Yes, self-published. And, you know, there's no excuse to not do it, to say you don't know how to do it, because there are so many books out there, you know, there are so many videos on it, and just own the rights to your work as a creator, any creator.
And so, you know, you did your research, you set up your own publishing company. Is that comparable to setting up your own record label to release music? You just set up your own publishing company?
Yes, you start your LLC or whatever. Purchase your own ISBNs. That's another trick that these so-called self-publishing companies do. If you purchase your ISBN number from one of these so-called self-publishing companies, they own the rights to your book. So you don't want that. You want to go to Boker.com. You want to go there and purchase your ISBNs yourself.
It's kind of like an ISRC code for the music industry. For those who are tuned in, it's the same thing. Not completely, but comparable. Do you publish other people through your company?
No, I really don't have time because I have so many things going on. So, but I do consult other authors into starting their own publishing companies and teaching them. So people can contact me if they want, you know, me to consult them on getting started. Right.
Well, you know, as I don't know if I told you this, but I'm actually writing a book currently. I'm almost finished, and I don't want to be bothered with publishing my own book. So I will be shopping it, but
because you're busy as well, right?
I know, I don't have time to set up a whole company, and I think that if I find the right company that fits into the little niche market that I may be part of, I think that might be okay. And if it's an independent company, then I don't mind giving them, you know, some money for that and doing the work. But I might have to, you know, take you up on some consulting. I might reach out to you.
Another thing you was talking about, mistakes I may have made. This is a mistake I don't want other people to make. Once you create your content, develop your own website like I did. Don't count on these other channels to sell your books, because they're going to take a big percentage. And you want people to buy directly from you, you know. And books are a tool. Books are a tool to get you in other doors, speaking engagements and everything. So if you have a book in your head, put it out. Yeah.
Well, one of my clients, he's an actor and an author as well. He actually has his book on his own website as well. And, you know, he's writing a children's book right now, also an inspirational book. So we're working on that. You know, as far as you say, you know, have your own website up so you can send them out and sell them directly. Does that mean you keep stock?
Are you still there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. You froze. Could you repeat that?
Yeah. So if you have, you know, people buying or purchasing the book directly from your website, does that mean you have stock? Like, do you have like your books all at home in stacks and stacks of books in case,
yes.
you know?
You have to have inventory. You can't play around with that. You know, you don't want somebody trying to buy your book and have to wait 2 weeks for it. You know, nah, you have to have that. So yeah, I'm stocked up with everything.
And is that something, you know, being self-published or having your own company, you go to the printer and you have an X amount of books? How does that work?
Yes, well, you can find your local printing company, and I won't get into the specific of the cost, but it's a lot cheaper to go to your local printing company and get them to, you know, print mass books. And then, you know, you can mark your price up however you want to do it. But that's the best way. And you can easily find a local printer wherever you're at to get it done.
Well, the reason I ask is because, you know, if I'm going to do that with my book, I don't have the big space that you have in Texas. I live on like, I don't know, a couple square feet here. So I don't have the room and the space to keep my books here if I wanted to sell them myself.
Well, you could start off with like 200 books or something like that. You don't have
Where
to
am I going?
buy.
I can't put no 200 books here.
Okay. Well, look, you could the more books you buy, the cheaper the cost will be. The less books you buy.
I know. I understand that concept. Trust me, I understand that concept, which is why, you know, if you live somewhere where you have the space to keep the books also from, you know, getting destroyed in the mix by, I don't know, the weather or, you know, whatever the climate, it's just 200 books. I can barely get 10 books in here. Like, I don't even know where I'm gonna put your books at this point. Like, no, seriously, I live in a shoebox. It may not look like that, but everybody that's been here knows that this looks bigger than it is. I just know how to, you know.
Look, we gonna work on it. I'm gonna think on some things. We gonna work on it. We gonna get you right. We gonna get you straight.
Now, I might have to call my mama. Like, can I use your space for, you know, for my books?
Yeah, we gonna take care of you. We gonna get you right.
No, it's just interesting to find out because, you know, I do work with people that are writing books and myself now. So it's a tough thing writing books. It's not easy. Like, how do you do that?
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. What is the best way for you to get in your zone?
Well, my wife understands that I have to be, even though I'm married, I get a lot of me time. And I teach my daughters to have me time also, because that's where I learn more about myself. So I used to go to Starbucks and write. I used to go to restaurants and sit outside and write. But like I say, now I'm in the backyard, so I could just sit in the backyard, give me a glass of wine or something, and go at it, you know. So she understands.
Yeah, I live by myself, so you would think I'd have all the time to write, but I do know that when I'm away, when I'm somewhere near a beach and, you know, way out of my own surrounding, I can get a lot more done as far as writing is concerned. But I'm just gonna have to do with this house right now, which is why it's taken me a little longer than I thought. I see people asking questions. Please refer to the question box so I can get to that and I don't have to scroll back through the comments. I was gonna ask you, so aside from it being your purpose and you connecting with your soul, were there any people that inspired you to do what you do today?
That's a good question.
It doesn't have to be. If it was just your purpose and it was God, then that's fine too. But yeah.
Nah, but the content I write is about family. The content I write is about my love for Black women, because me watching my mother wear a hard hat and steel-toe boots and go to work every morning to take care of me, be at all of my football games, all of my baseball games, basketball games, also to watch her educate herself and become a chemical analyst, that was inspiring to me.
Yes.
And a lot of Black men go through what I went through, where they have a strong Black woman who raises them to be great kings. So, you know, my passion is I feel I owe it to them to uplift them, to write positive content, because in the US, there's so much negative content to keep Black men and Black women separated. And I'm pretty sure you know a lot of great Black men in the industry that are married, that are good fathers, but it's not spoke about and it's not shown. So I want to proudly show that we are married over 22 years, 30 years, and enjoying our kids and being there. So I owe it to Black women, because they took care of me, and they still take care of me to this day, still support me to this day. Right. So I just wanted to show everybody in the world that Black men love and are there for their families.
Yes.
So that was my inspiration too.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially, you know, with having a strong Black mom like that. And she did everything to put you in a position that you are in right now. I want to give a shout out, a massive shout out to one of my best friends, Ron Tang, who does all my designs, who designs the flyer and everything. He is a single dad of 3. And he's raising 2 daughters. So it's not easy for him either, but he loves those kids like no other dad. So it's, you know, I do want to, you know, show him the respect and love that he deserves, because even single Black fathers don't get the
Yes.
recognition. You know, they're there, you know. So
And I
yeah.
appreciate you shouting him out, you know. Much respect to you, King.
Yes. I'm not sure. He's usually in here somewhere, but he's not such a, he's a person behind the scenes. So,
Okay, okay.
and I honestly, I feel like, I want to give him, the book Letters to My Daughters, because it's
Yes.
not easy raising teen daughters, and he's self-employed, you know, and he's, you know, working through this pandemic, and, you know, so I definitely gonna have to send him that book, because he does a lot for me. I've known him for like his kids are kind of like my kids, so you know, from
Yeah.
afar, I help being mom sometimes, you know. So yeah,
Takes a village.
it does, you
Yeah.
know. So that's good, that's great. I love the fact that you are inspired by your family. Are there any goals that you have as a writer, as a motivational speaker? Are there certain things that you haven't touched on that you feel like you can reach still?
Yes. My next book that's coming out this year is the over sexualization of Black women in America.
Ooh.
To me, having daughters and watching the way the
Ooh,
world
yeah.
is going, I wanted to touch on the history of that in the book, and also just try to wake people up and let them know what's going on.
That's yeah, that's going to be a good one, and it's probably very much needed
Yeah.
today. Honestly, I'm not a mother, other than, you know, my friends' kids and all, but whew, I wouldn't even know how to do it right now in this world. Trust me, like I have respect for everybody that's raising children in this society nowadays, you know. But and especially since the feeling of community is not necessarily there anymore, and it's completely different over here in the Netherlands as well. So that's a whole other story. But that book is needed. Do you have a timeline for it?
I want to put it out like in November because I want to pace myself. I want to make sure I research as much history as
Mm,
possible because I want to put some history into it so I can
good.
connect the dots with people. But
Um,
also you received my sizzle reel too. When
mm,
you say you saw my family, so
yes, yes.
I also want to shoot a pilot for a television show to where I can help families regain that love again and that unity again that was once in a Black family home years ago.
Right.
So
And is
I'm working on that.
your family going to be part of it, or is it going to be stand-ins?
We'll just have to see, what kind of opportunities come about. But I'm
Right.
gonna keep shooting it out there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, keep me posted, because I may have some opportunities for you in that area. I see
Will
there are
do.
questions coming in, so let me see what kind of question. Oh, this has changed. The Instagram has changed the situation. So let me see. Here's a question from Soulful Tarot 504. Is he going to get into any other forms of entertainment besides writing, maybe acting? Well, I guess we were kind of talking about that.
Yeah, and I would. It depends on what opportunities come about. I'm just gonna keep grinding and keep being who I am. And if somebody loves it and they're attracted to it and they want to use, what I do or whatever,
Mhm. Yeah.
we can talk about it.
If it ties into what you're doing,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. It has to tie into the messaging of what I'm
Right.
doing because I don't want to stray away from that messaging.
Right. Oh, you know what? Instagram's made this a lot better now. um, Here's one from Octavia. Father-daughter relationships are so important. How is it only raising daughters, and how do your relationships differ with them all? That's a great question.
That is a great question. And one of the most important things of having multiple children is take them on separate dates
Mm.
because all of them are individuals. And you have to spend time with them individually so they can feel that you appreciate them
Yeah.
as an individual. All of my daughters are different, and I have to encourage them in different ways. Some of them I can be firm with, some of them I have to back off a little bit. But you want to show them, especially as a man, how a woman is supposed to be treated. That was
Right.
the purpose of writing letters to my daughters also, because I tell my daughters daily that they're beautiful and intelligent. The reason why I do that is because a lot of men out here are predators, and they can tell if a woman hasn't heard those positive affirmations of love. And some of those men will purposely, I would say that they will purposely tell them positive affirmations of love and then control their minds, because
build
that's
their
the first
confidence.
time. Yeah, that's the first time they heard it. So they're like, oh, so you need to give your children, male and female, positive affirmations of love from the beginning. And that starts with affection, hugging, you know, kissing from birth, and continue on.
And that's even for me, it's tough to hear because I never had that from my parents growing up. You know, my parents being immigrants coming to the Netherlands from Indonesia, which was colonized by the Dutch, a whole traumatic history, which I talk about in my book. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I understood why they were who they were and why they couldn't do for me what I needed as a child. Unfortunately, that resulted in us not talking and having a really bad relationship, and me being very insecure about myself and doing all kinds of wrong things in the world. Now, you know, years later, I figured it out with help of therapy and understanding my parents' history and what they went through, the traumatic events that they had to go through at a young age, moving to a whole different country on the other side of the world, not being seen as equals over here, you know, racism, discrimination, and then raising children. So I had to really understand where they were coming from in order to be okay with the fact that they were not the parents that I needed them to be when I was a child. But, you know, even those are things that I understand Black people in America have to realize as well, because it is a traumatic history that goes back from slavery days and whatnot, you know, being stolen from Africa. It's a similar traumatic history. And that's something that not a lot of people understand, because, you know, I get thrown a lot to myself, like, you're not Black, you don't live in America, you don't understand this. But there's so many similarities that people don't know because they don't know the history of why I am here in white Netherlands, so to speak. But for me to hear you talk about, you know, raising your daughters, your children with those affirmations from young on, I wish I had that. And I know that if I had children, I would have done that, because I would want to break that cycle that was passed on, you know. So that is something,
you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, when I do have book signings and meet women, you know, I could feel the hurt and pain when they speak about it. And that kind of hurts me. So that makes me want to be even more supportive and be a good listener. As men and as husbands and as fathers, we need to take time to listen when women speak, not just hear them, but really listen, because a lot of us, even the men, are going through some type of trauma. And a lot of times people just need somebody to listen. And you were speaking earlier about, you know, who has inspired me or what inspires me. I told you this before, because we had a conversation before. Your spirit is so awesome. You know, you went through a lot of trauma in your life also, but the spirit that you have, it empowers me and inspires me to be great. So I just want to thank you for being a great person of great positive energy.
Thank you for saying that. And it is something that a lot of people, they know me now, but they have no idea what the story is behind me. And some of my friends and even new friends that I've got to know the past few months are telling me, like, wow, I would have never thought, you know, you've been through all of that in your life, knowing you now. And it is because I made the conscious decision to heal myself. I made a conscious decision to be a better person and to be okay, so I can be okay for others. I know that if my purpose is helping others, I should be okay first. And that is something that I had to learn, because I always put everybody before me. And I still do it, but
that's something I do also.
But I've learned to at least, you know, reflect first, like, how am I feeling today? Can I give my energy away? And like I said earlier, I didn't know if I was able to do this talk, but I also know me, whenever I start, I'm okay. I can probably fall apart after this and go to sleep because I'm tired, but But I know that I will always have the right energy to do my talks, and nobody will ever know what my actual state of mind is, because these talks are so important, because these talks inspire me. And when you approached me and we had that conversation, there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted you as a guest, because it's not about music industry people. It's about inspiring people with inspiring stories that can motivate others in a time where everything is difficult. And thank you for saying that, because it means a lot. I've worked hard to be this person. I've had so much negativity in my life. I don't have time for it anymore, which is why I don't bother with things that don't bring me value. And because I want to give out value, so I have to get it back in order to give it out again. That's how it works. You know, you got to get light to give light. So, yeah.
Well, you give it, and I appreciate it, and I'm going to keep giving it back.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to read this book, so I'm going to have joy with that. There's a couple more questions. Paula, Miss P, she asked, what was something you learned about yourself while writing your book, or any of the books? Were there learning processes while writing?
What I did learn as writing letters to my daughters and a love letter to our beautiful Black women, I realized that women have made me a better man. Because I'm from New Orleans, and I grew up in a kind of rough environment from the beginning, and my heart was pretty cold, and my tone, the way I spoke, was pretty harsh, and I didn't realize it. So my mom, my aunts, they used to tell me, hey, Avery, you know, you have to watch how you talk to people. So writing these books and raising my daughters and going through the process, they have taught me to be more compassionate, more loving, more attentive to their needs, a good listener. So women continue to teach me and help me become greater, even my daughters.
And you're a great speaker. Now, I would never know that you had a harsh tone. I mean, my dad had it. Oh, my mom had tried to tell him so many times. And what's crazy is that I remember years later when we were all kind of good, mending our relationships, I had a late night call with my dad, and my dad broke down and he said, I'm sorry for everything, because I never knew how to be a dad because my father passed away when I was a kid. That made so much sense to me. Like, sometimes we as kids have to look at what our parents have been through in order to understand where they're coming from, instead of always looking at them as a father or a mother. They're people too. They're humans with feelings and having to deal with them. And our generation, especially for Black men or men in general, is more receptive to talking about feelings, to address trauma, to address healing, mental healing. The generation of my parents, definitely not. Coming from an Asian family, definitely not. Do not talk about feelings. Just do what you got to do, work hard, and that's it. Sweep everything under the rug. And that's, you know, something that gets overlooked as well, being an Asian person raised in a Western world. That can, you know, cause a lot of conflict between cultures as well. We have more questions. People are interested in you. Let me see. Uncle Marv asked, I'm writing my first book. Can you share again the place you go to secure your ISBN? What was that place?
It's Bowker.com, BOWKER.com. Instead of purchasing one ISBN for like $150, you can purchase 10 ISBNs for about $250 or $300. I forgot the price because I had a whole bunch of them. But
well,
yeah, check it out.
Marv, are you planning to write 10 books or one? Let me see. There was another question from Miss Stacy. How did you feel about the phrase "girl dad"?
I embrace it because I've been a girl dad from the beginning. So I embrace it. I see nothing wrong with it. I'm proud to be a girl dad. I have no boys, so hey.
Right. You are a girl dad. You're just a dad, you know. Oh my gosh, the time flies so fast when you're having fun and when you're having a good conversation. One more question from Ms. P. What was the writing process like for you? I guess we can talk about all the books. Were all the books the same writing process for you, or were they all different? That might be a good question.
The process was exactly the same for as getting the book, you know, written and produced. But I write from the heart because I'm a poet. So writing comes easy to me, you know. If it'll just come to me and I just put it out. So the process was the same.
Shout out to Nature. He's a girl dad too.
Yeah, what's happening, girl dad?
Girl that was having a girl dad. So what do you see yourself doing in say 5 years? The same, or are you expanding? Are you holding your own conferences? Are you doing workshops?
I'm definitely going to be doing workshops and holding conferences, but also I do see myself with a television show that is going to uplift Black marriages, Black families, Black unity. I strongly want to do that because we need it. We need some more positive shows on television.
I agree. And again, we may have to connect on that because I have some idea. My brain is rattling already. There was a show, I think it was from Oprah, was called Love. Was it called Love? That was talking about, well, and somebody in here probably knows, but I can't watch all the things that come out on American TV. We don't have OWN over here. So, but it was a show about Black love. And it was basically, it's not a show. It's like more a documentary where people talk about their relationships. I don't know if that's kind of like a similar thing, but I do think that you have a great foundation to put on a show like that to encourage and inspire other families and help them, like I said, navigate within the relationships in the family, because that's so important. Again, if it's generational trauma that trickles down, somebody has to learn how to break that in order for the next generations to be okay. And if you're a person that can help and has the tools for people to learn how to do that, then that's great.
Yeah, we definitely gonna have to connect because, you know, I want to hear more of your story because your story is so powerful. Because to see the strong, beautiful woman that's before us today, I wouldn't have thought that you've been through so much. And I appreciate you sharing a piece of you with me, with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm an open book, no pun intended. I'm an open book.
I am too. I'm straight up.
Yeah. I've always said, ask me anything. I have no secrets. I used to have a blog where I posted all my stuff, but also everything is in the book. The book is pretty much my journey. And so I advise people to have their Kleenexes and whatnot, because it's pretty sad, but it also is pretty great, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I did not have all those hardships. God does not give you things you can't handle. God has your plan laid out for you before you are born. So I know I was meant to do and go through all these things to become the person that he wanted me to be in order to live my purpose, which is serving others. And you can't inspire people if you don't have a story. If you don't have the experience, you can't advise others to the best of your abilities. I mean, you don't take advice from somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about.
That hasn't walked that walk.
Right. So I had to go through it, and I'm happy to be who I am today. I have no regrets. I do not want to turn back time. And I'm happy that before my dad passed away, we were in a great space. The only thing I'm a little sad about is the fact that he can't read the book. I really wanted them to read the book in order to understand who their daughter is, because I never had the chance to really sit down. And with my mom, I'm scared for her to read it by herself. So I might have to like have somebody there. Like, Mama,
I can see some big things coming from that book.
I hope so. I try. It's therapeutic for me, honestly. I use it as therapy. And sometimes I read it, I was like, wow, looks like it's a whole other person that went through all of that, because it, you know, because I've changed.
Watch all the people you're gonna bless too. You're already blessing people now, but with that book,
thank you.
Wow.
I hope so. So I want to thank you for this wonderful, inspiring conversation, for wanting to be part of this whole lineup in my show. Are there things that you want to give out to the people? Life motto, advice, something?
I would say never sacrifice your love for self for the love of someone else. You know, and for all our daughters out there, let me see. I might have something I want to give to you right quick.
People, don't forget the books. You know, you can
AveryWashington.com.
AveryWashington.com. Yes.
One thing I don't like that we do as in our culture is we embrace the term minority. So one of the quotes that I have is, never in life will I consider myself a minority, because there's nothing minor about my God in me. So when you speak of me, say majority, because everything is major about my God in me. So don't refer to yourself as a minority.
Very good. And we are not the minority, which is crazy. If you look at
true.
The world, technically we are the majority.
That's why you got all this hell going on in the US.
Well, and over here as well. Trust me, it's all over the world at this point.
And I got one more for you.
Yes.
For the women, never live your life according to man's expectations, because you are above the expectations of man. You are God's creation.
Amen. Yes. And I'll follow that one up with a Bruce Lee quote. I am not on this earth to live up to your expectations, and you're not on this earth to live up to mine. That's a Bruce Lee one. May not be completely correct.
I've heard that one. I've heard that one recently. Yeah.
Yes, and that is something that I always thought was great, because people, even with social media, we look at other people. What are they doing? I need to do this. I need to be better. I need to be prettier. I need to be, you know, a more richer or whatever. And it's really not about that. It's about what you want for yourself. What is success for yourself? What is happiness for yourself? What is peace of mind for yourself? And that's something nobody else can do for you. And mimicking other people's lives is not going to do that for you.
Not at all.
But thank you so much, Avery. Go and buy the book.
You,
support this good brother with with buying these books, and then, you know, read them and give them out when you're done with them. Have other people read them. That's also a great way of paying it forward. Avery, thank you so much. Give my love to your wife and your daughters. And when I'm back, when the world is open, I'm back in Houston. We are definitely going to.
Oh yeah, we got to connect.
Food. Yes.
Appreciate you, Pay. Blessings to you, Queen.
Blessings to you, King, and we'll speak soon. I can't get you out this live, so I have to ask you to see yourself out.
All right, I will do.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Man, I hate asking my guests to see themselves out, but yeah, that's how Instagram's doing it. They did fix that question button though. That was so much better, because I was like searching what did I already do, and now they actually have it lined up where you can see what question has been answered already. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in again. Don't forget, cop the books. Very inspiring. I just got them in. He sent me a whole bunch. I got 3 to give away. One is already going to go to my good friend Glenn. Don't know if you're still tuned in, but thank you so much, guys. I will be back on Wednesday with another music person, Mr. Mike Hands. No doubt that he's going to be inspirational and motivational as well, because this man has done a lot in his life too, and he's still doing a lot. Just wanted to show off my little new tattoo real quick. Woohoo! Thanks, Quincy, for that one. And wishing everybody a great evening. I see everybody talking. Thank you so much, Daryl. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Nate. Everybody who's tuned in, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.